On today's show, how did the Dallas Mavericks fall late against the Philadelphia 76ers? And what's the deal with the Mavs playing up and down to their competition? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Follow and subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day on any platform and to comment anything below. Let us know one reason why the Mavericks lost this game to the Sixers. There are several. Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com, the Sixer Century, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
All right, Nick, we need an explanation for all of our listeners that watch on YouTube. Your hat. You have an owl, like a weird owl on your hat.
It's not a weird owl. It's a great owl.
I mean, it's kind of cool. It's like a Grand Canyon, National
Grand
Park.
Canyon National Park. I went to the Grand Canyon with my family. I got this owl hat, and I love this owl hat.
That's like the like whitest dad hat you have.
This one
in your collection. Yeah.
You don't like it?
No, I like it. I'm just saying.
No,
it's
you
like
just said it was the whitest dad hat. It is a green hat.
It's a Grand Canyon National Park with an owl on it. Yes, that is a white dad hat.
If you want to hate on my hat as well, go to YouTube, Locked On Mavericks. You can come hang out with us over here. We appreciate.
Leave a comment below. Would you wear Nick's hat right now?
Listening on the podcast, we appreciate all you guys too. If you listen 5 days a week, you're part of the Raccoon Squad. We appreciate you. Today, we'll talk about the Mavs playing up and down to their competition because they played a really good game against this Sixers team up until the last couple minutes or so, and we'll talk about that. We'll break down that game, how the Mavericks kind of held Joel Embiid in check a little bit, and then also
the stopper
still lost the game. But let's start here. The Mavericks scored 17 points in the fourth quarter, and there are times during this game, Mavs lose 108 to 116, where I could just see, you just felt it, where there's just not a rhythm. There's not chemistry. There's not, connectivity between this team right now. And I tweeted right during the game, you can just see the lack of chemistry in these late game possessions. And I didn't think that was a controversial thing to say. And then I got a bunch of replies about, these players have been together for years. The guys out on the floor are Luka, Maxey, Tim Hardaway, Reggie Bullock. Those guys have been together for years now. And then Kyrie, who's new, but chemistry shouldn't be part of it. It's just guys missing threes. Well, why do you think they're missing the threes? Because there's no chemistry. There's no between them. These fouls are happening late in the game because, the lack of chemistry and connectivity and communication between the two of them. And it's just different when it's late in games. Like, we remember the playoffs where it's just a different game. And we knew that the Mavericks team last year was ready for it because they had won all these games in a bunch of different ways. This team is not ready for that at all, and you can see it in a game like this.
Yeah, I think it could be both, though. I could think, there were a couple shots late that it was just an open three, and Reggie Bullock missed it in the corner, or Tim Hardaway just missed in the corner. I think it can be both of them, that they are lacking the chemistry for late in the game, but they also just missed shots too. And I tweeted, I don't tweet much in games anymore, but one of the things I did tweet was man, their energy and effort in that first half was
great. It
was infectious. It was awesome. I'm like, okay, you could tell, man, they were on it early on. It was just it's just not unsustainable. They couldn't keep it up. They couldn't, it was we're going to use all of our energy and intensity and focus and everything early on, and it felt like it slowly waned a little bit as the game went on. I mean, you could even look at the the breakdown of quarters, not that points show everything, but they had 37 points in the first quarter. They had 17 in the fourth quarter, and
in that instance the points do show everything.
Yeah, that's kind of, but I thought they played better defense in the first quarter compared to the end also, which Philly's not a great defensive team either. With
they're
the Mavs,
they're top 10 though.
Well, that time they played them a while back when Dallas beat them at home, it was just who could score the most, it felt like.
Yeah.
And But no, I mean, yeah, it just the fourth quarter felt like I want to say a whole different team. It just felt like a different version of this team compared to the first quarter.
For sure. And I felt this team tighten up. And I felt that, there was times when Bullock would pump fake a three or not take an open three, second guess a three. That to me is lack of rhythm, lack of chemistry and the ball moving the right way. And just we saw it again in this game. I thought in the fourth quarter, there's lack of Luka and Kyrie playing off of each other. It's this thing that I'm going to keep pounding this. I'm going to keep pounding this is we need to see more of Luka and Kyrie playing off of each other and not just
pick and roll stuff too.
Yes.
I think it was Zach. I mean, we joked yesterday, every national pod in the world is talking about the Mavericks themise, but I feel like it was Zach Lowe. Tell me if I was wrong. That gave some like pick and roll numbers between the two. And that's just such there's no explanation for why they're not. I mean, yeah.
So
but
Tim
Cade a little bit late. But
somebody was tweeting about it. I think Kirk and Bob Stern, both friends of the show, were tweeting about that during the game. And then Tim Cato came in and said, I asked Jason Kidd about this before the game. And Jason Kidd said, well, we don't want them to be tired on defense on the other end. Like, well, when it comes down to the fourth quarter, you still got to run that stuff. Like, you can't just, and we've talked about Jason Kidd's.
I don't always tell you guys the truth.
We talked about his excuses and things on post games or pre-game pressers. He's just saying stuff to get out of there, which I get. But
well, yeah, I mean,
at a certain point, you got to run the stuff though, right? And they just didn't.
And it's not like, they're Kawhi. Like, they're not guarding the best players on the other end. Like, for the lack of better terms here, they're already not great on the defensive end. So why not just maximize? You're building this team for the offense anyway. Let's maximize the best, offense that you can with this offensively built team instead of, hey, let's preserve, some defensive energy for both these guys who are probably average defenders at best right now.
So the Mavs missed a bunch of threes late, right? They went 3 of 12 from 3 in the fourth quarter. The Sixers went 4 of 9. That's literally like the game.
You say 6 of 9 or 4 of 9?
4 of 9.
Okay.
No, 4 of 9. It was not nice still. But and then the Sixers 17 of 36 from 3 overall. But this Mavs team came close. Like they got pretty much beat really bad in the three-point shooting and still almost beat the game. Why do you think that is? Or do you give them credit for them getting it that way? Because we've been saying this whole year, if they don't win the three-point line, they're not going to win games. They're going to be out of games. Well, they were in this game.
Yeah, no, I was so ready for it. I mean, we were joking before this. I was like, man, I'm going to start tonight's pod with, are they back? Are the Mavs back, baby? Like, let's go. Let's do this. And they're in the ICU right now. And I just, I was seeing that energy, seeing the, the intensity on the defensive end. I was like, all right, I bought in a little bit. I was like, did they turn a corner a little bit?
They got you.
The players only meeting worked the magic, and, but no, then it just all came in. And, you look at some of the, some of the stuff from it as far as like Embiid, and they're like, all right, Embiid didn't, he set out the game the other day. And he didn't, it's not like he had 50 tonight. He comes in, he's rested. He puts up 25. I mean, he had an efficient game, but it's like, all right, you held Embiid to 25 points and all right, you only lost the rebounding battles because that, matters a ton, by 3, and you had a shot in this and they just couldn't do it late. They lost the
rebound battle by 3, like you said. They lost the free throw battle. 14 made free throws from the Mavs, 25 made free throws from the Sixers. Like they were in this game for a bunch of different reasons. And
we do have to say the refs late in this game were tough.
There was a switch that was flipped. Like I don't know. There was a switch that was flipped at some point that all the calls started going towards the Sixers, I thought.
I agree.
You're not going to comment. You're not going to comment on that.
I mean, I agree. We don't do that. We try not to do that a ton on this podcast. Like, oh, the refs, and all that. But
not the only reason they lost. But you start looking at some of them. You have 4 minutes left. The offensive foul on Maxey versus Embiid when Embiid just like shoved him down. They replayed it right away. Yeah. Even Jeff Van Gundy's like, that's a foul on Embiid. You have the Tim Hardaway Jr. This was a kind of a dumb foul. I think it was a foul, but 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. The Tim Hardaway Jr. foul on the rebound should have been a Mavs rebound. That was a stupid one. You had the There's a couple other fouls in there
There's
late.
a James Harden one in there that was like, all right, come on.
Not the only reason why the Mavericks lost, but definitely tough late when this team already doesn't have rhythm, already doesn't have chemistry, and is kind of fighting uphill because of the 3-point battle. Coming up, let's talk about how this game went for the most part. How did the Mavericks stay in this game? What did the Mavericks do differently than we saw for sure against the Hornets in those 2 games? Talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about this new game. It's dominating my phone. I was playing it today. It's the Ultimate Pro Basketball GM, not the Ultimate Basketball, NBA Basketball, Ultimate Pro Basketball GM. Shout out to our friend Mavs FFL, who was playing the wrong game today on Twitter. And then I sent him the right one, and he was like, oh, cool. Now I got 2 games. But you can download this app. Use the free boost Locked On in the game shop to get a free boost. That's all caps, Locked On, one word. Ultimate Pro Basketball GM game. You can, in this game, you start as a franchise with nothing. You're zero. You're an expansion franchise essentially that has some players. Okay. You have the number 1 pick, and you can draft players, you can trade players, you hire coaches, you fire coaches, you train them up. You can change the positions. You can change like their tendencies, all kinds of stuff in there that you can mess with. And it's so comprehensive. You work with the finances, the salary cap. I love it. It's so intricate, and I'm really into it. So go check it out. Again, the Ultimate Pro Basketball GM. All right, Isaac Harris. Everyone, thanks for making Locked On Mavs part of your day and being part of the show. We appreciate you. If you listen 5 days a week, you're part of the Raccoon Squad. We love you. If you're going to Mavs games anytime soon, come see me and get one of these Locked On Mavs condoms. I mean, stickers. Stickers. Let's talk about this game. What do you think is the first thing that you saw to start this game that was different than what we've seen from the Mavericks of late?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm going to be a broken record a little bit, but their effort was a different level on this. They were flying around the floor. And, I think it was maybe Austin Guerrero tweeted on, sent out a tweet. It was like, man, I'm not used to them getting some stops. And it just felt like they were in on every, fighting for rebounds. It felt like they're fighting for loose balls. It felt like Luka was more engaged than normal. I was watching him for a good extended stretch, just defensively, just watching him just stay on his toes, really, kind of just bouncing around on his feet where, there's a lot of times on defense, he's just kind of like feet planted, like he's like Sandman. And that it just felt like they had a, collective energy as a team early on. They had the lead, I want to say, for most of, if not all, the first quarter. Yeah, it just felt like a different team. I mean, if we're just talking about early on, it felt like a whole different team than what we've been watching.
Yeah, the intensity, even just through the first quarter, 10 minutes left in the first quarter, Luka had this great defensive possession on Harden, and then he outletted the ball to Dwight, who had that fast break that he was ahead of everybody, ahead of Embiid, and dunked it. Mavs went up 7-3 at that point, and just the defense looks so different. You could tell they were locked in, and that's what it takes for this defense to be run well. I mean, I've talked about it now for two years. This defense, you have to be locked in, you have to communicate, you have to all 5 players have to know where they're supposed to be and have to buy in. And there are times this season when Luka hasn't, and there are times this season when Christian Wood doesn't know what he's supposed to be, or Tim Hardaway Jr. gets blown by, or somebody else, and then all of a sudden it just all falls apart because of one weak link in one play. And in this game, you felt like you could see it. There's a through line a little bit more often.
And I thought they did Dwight is going to get beasted by some of these guys for sure.
Sure,
but I thought he held his ground decently. I thought they brought help at great times. There's no one solution for, he might be the MVP this year, Joel Embiid, but you kind of just have to live with the long twos or the elbow twos at times, because once he gets into the paint, this goes to their defense this game. A team with Joel Embiid, they've been, we've been talking about points in the paint for this Mavs team, them giving it up 60 points in the paint, 62 points, 50 something points. They had 32 points in the paint tonight. The Sixers did. And they have Joel Embiid on their team. And I think Embiid had at one point, I think in the second half, he had 8 of those points or something in the paint. So it's just, I thought they did a really good job of keeping, Joel out of the paint and just saying, hey, Like if you want to get your points, you're going to get them on these elbow shots, these long twos, the fadeaways, some of that stuff.
Or you got to push through multiple guys.
Yeah. And so like, I actually like the game plan for Dallas tonight, and you got to pick your poison, right? Just like teams do with Luka, and their poison, or that what they were going to give up tonight, was 3-pointers by the other guys. And I mean, obviously it didn't work that much because, Philly hit 17 threes, 47% on, for them. Whenever you have guys like D'Anthony Melton hitting 5 threes, Maxey hit 4, Harden only hit a couple of them, but they kind of had to, that's what they chose to give up tonight, and they hit them.
That's a bad choice to me because Melton is a 40% three-point shooter. Maxey's a 43% three-point shooter. This is not in the past we've talked about, David Roddy made a bunch of threes in a game, and we're like, oh, you give that up every time. Like, that's what you give up. Or, name another player on another team. But, like, I don't know. It's hard to give up.
On the grand scheme,
it's hard to give up something
though,
against this Sixers team, though. Like, you have to give something up, and that's what you gave up.
On the grand scheme of things, though, if you're telling me, hey, either Joel Embiid's going to go ISO on Dwight, Powell in the paint and put up 50-something points,
ouch,
or you're going to give up some threes to, Niang, Melton, PJ Tucker, Tyrese Maxey, you kind of playing the odds some, and, Niang and Melton hit 8 threes combined tonight. So it sucks. Yeah. In hindsight, sure, wish you wouldn't have given up those threes to those guys, because you're closing the paint, you're helping off the paint. And whenever you are helping like that, you got to be super disciplined. Like, there was a 3 that McDaniels hit in the corner in the second half. Christian Wood's helping off in the paint and helping at such a wild angle that's like, all right, bro, you can't just leave the guy, on an island in the corner, and he, McDaniels hits the 3 and stuff. But anyway, Philly's one of the best teams in the league. I mean, they could be in the finals this year, so they're a really good team.
Yeah, Niang, Maxey, and what's the other one? Melton went 13 of 22 from 3.
Yeah, and look
that's tough.
Look on the other side. Reggie, Maxey, and Josh Green went 3 of 15 from 3.
Yeah, that's
so,
it.
That's huge on this team. I mean, Reggie missed 7 threes in this game. Maxey missed 3. Josh missed 2. Tim, hit 5 threes in this game, but Reggie missing 7 was big for this team.
Mavs also just got killed on boards that were not necessarily like the total rebound count, but the second chance points. 25 second chance points for the Sixers, 8 for the Mavericks. Rebounding is just finishing a defensive possession. I thought Jeff Van Gundy said it well during the game. It's like, this Mavericks team just can't finish a defensive possession, and they couldn't. Sixers, I think, at halftime, they had 7. Sixers had 14 second chance points. Mavericks had 5 at halftime. And if you're getting beat that bad on it, then that's going to be a bad day for you. You just got to finish possessions, and they did well on the first shot, and the second shot they gave up a bunch of points in that.
Speaking of rebounds or like bigs, Christian Wood and JaVale tonight. Christian Wood only played 12 minutes tonight. 12 minutes. JaVale McGee played 6. JaVale had me literally laughing out loud a few times. There was a time that he was trying to get the ball posting up Joel Embiid, and they didn't give it to him, and he legit pouted and turned around. Like, bro, you're posting up Joel Embiid.
He's like, I don't have the drop. Joel. I don't have the drop anymore. What did you think about those centers quickly? Wood playing 12, JaVale playing 6. Dwight only played 10, so you can't put this on Dwight at all. Maxey only played 25, so they really played one big a lot in this game and decided to spread it out a little bit more. What'd you think about that strategy?
No, I mean, there's like, hey, we're going to try to get threes, try to space the floor. I mean, they shot 46 threes in this game, and they shot them 39, 40% as a team, and they got the threes up. So, if Reggie just makes a couple more of those threes, they shoot over 40% in this game, and they could possibly win this game. So I don't mind the strategy. Maxey's going to play a lot if they get into, that's sad, if they get into the play-in or playoffs.
That just hurts every time you say it.
But I think kind of the minute distribution tonight is exactly how you're going to see in like a playoff series if they get there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Coming up, let's talk about where the Mavericks stand when it comes to the play-in, where they stand in terms of the Tankathon standings as well. We got the duality. And also, we'll talk about playing up and down the competition. Why did the Mavs do it and how? Talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about FanDuel. FanDuel is the number one sportsbook in America and is also the official sportsbook partner of Locked On. Go check it out, FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Baseball is coming back. I'm going to be going to a Rangers game this summer.
Yeah.
It's fun going in there. It's indoor now. I'm loving it. I love that.
Dude,
it's
the last
not,
Rangers game I went to, that you could feel the air conditioning like blowing on you, and I was like, let's go.
That's a good day. Rangers, regular season win totals. Over under 100, or not 100, 81.5. I almost said 100. It's minus 105 for the over and minus 115 for the under.
Oh, give me the over. They have an ace pitcher now.
Oh, you taking the over on that one. So If you feel good about the Rangers, you can go check it out on FanDuel. See all kinds of other stuff, player specials, division winners. What are they to even win their division? I don't even know what division they're in. They're plus 1,000 to win their division with the Astros, Mariners, Angels, the Athletics. I don't feel good about that one. Go check it out again. FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Thanks for being part of this show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Tomorrow, listen to us talk more about this Mavericks team, where we see them going the rest of the season. We're here 5 days a week and every post game. Appreciate you guys. Here we go. Let's do the standings update.
Let me preface it real quick. So Kyrie Irving was just talking post game.
Oh yeah, we're doing this during post game pressers.
And I don't think I can repeat every word in this, but
oh boy.
Kyrie Irving on the Mavs playoff outlook. This is just perfect for this segment. It kind of looks like it's a little bit of a cluster blank right now. So there you go. That's just a perfect
cluster.
What's the sheltered church kid version of this?
Frick.
It kind of looks like a little bit of a cluster frick right now.
That's the homeschooled version of it.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Let me tell you what the cluster frick. Let me tell you what the cluster fudge is all. The cluster of fudges.
Pretty good.
That sounds like something that Willy Wonka would make. Mavericks lose. We know this. OKC wins. Mavericks are a game back from them. That they're in the 10th seed, so they own this. And the Thunder own the tiebreaker 1 and 2 against the Mavericks. So the Mavericks have to be better than the Thunder to be above them. They can't be tied with them. If they're tied with them, OKC's ahead of them. That's tiebreaker. Lakers also win versus Chicago. Double whammy. We'll tell you why that's double whammy in a second. Mavericks are a game and a half back from the Lakers. They do own the tiebreaker against the Lakers. So technically only like a game back of them. And the Pelicans also lost on Tuesday against the Warriors. Mavericks are 1.5 games back from them. They're tied with the Pelicans in the season series. So then you have to go to the second tiebreaker, which is division. And then you have to go to the third tiebreaker. There's a bunch between that. And if the day comes, we'll go through that. That's the play-in standing. So a game back from the Thunder, game and a half back from the Lakers, game and a half back from the Pelicans. The Mavericks do not control their own destiny in this. They have to. Another team has to lose some games. Probably the Thunder or Lakers or Pelicans. The Tankathon standings, if you're looking on the other side of things, you're looking to say, how can the Mavericks get a top 10 pick? Mavericks lose. Chicago loses to the Lakers. That's a double whammy for the Mavericks because the Lakers win, hurts their play-in chances, and the Bulls lose, which hurts their pick chances because the Mavericks are right there. Basically only two teams in the way of the Mavericks right now in the Tankathon standings. They have to be lower than one of Chicago or Utah right now. They're a half game.
One of them?
Just one of them, so you feel good about keeping your pick. If you finish below one of Chicago or Utah, you get an 80% chance to keep your pick. If you finish ahead of both of them in the standings like they are right now, you only have a 9.4% chance to keep your pick. So that's where you are. If you're looking below the Mavericks, you look at Chicago and Utah. If you're looking ahead of the Mavericks, they'll play, and you're looking at OKC, Lakers, and the Pelicans.
And give the listeners who are watching the Tankathon standings the most right now, how far back are they from Utah right now?
Mavericks are a half. They have one more win than Utah. Same amount of losses. One more win. Same as Chicago. So a half game from both.
Half game from both.
And that's only an 80% chance to keep the pick. Mavericks right now have a 9.4% chance to keep their pick. Just a 9% chance. They would be in the top 4 if they kept it, but only a 9% chance. 0% to get their pick between 5 and 10 because of the way the lottery works.
All right. Which would you rather have?
There you go.
Would you rather have Dallas play the Lakers in the 9-10 matchup?
Yes.
Or would you rather them? Guys, I don't think I can handle losing to the Lakers in the play-in.
No.
1, hate the Lakers. 2, hate the play-in.
I might have to do this podcast solo if they lose to the Lakers because of your hatred for the Lakers is so immense.
And the play-in.
And you hate the play-in. Yeah, right. You hate both of those things.
Nick texted me during the game and said, "Hey, how does it feel that Jeff Van Gundy feels the same way as you about the play-in?"
He also hates the play-in.
That's fine with me. I don't care.
Why do the Mavericks play down their competition so much and play up? Because they looked so good against the Sixers team until it came down to the last couple of shots. If in a normal season, like last year, we would have looked at this game and go, they just missed some shots, and that is what it is. But when you see the Mavericks be able to play a game like this, and then you see them play against the Hornets and lose those games, why do they play up and down in competition?
I'm trying to debate if I want to be honest or not.
Well, now you're just about to show your card here.
Why do they play up and down to competition? Do you want to go first?
No, I'm waiting for you to navigate your way through this. I told you this before we hit record. You had this whole pod to plan your answer.
It's their head coach.
Are you being honest with that answer? Because you're nervous about it.
No, I mean I think it's their head coach. I think that's one of the things that you can look at as as an outsider and be like, all right, how prepared are you for the bad opponents? How prepared are you? How up and down are you as a team? And there's a lot of different things. Once again, we've talked about a million times how hard it is to evaluate coaching stuff. When they lose the locker room, is there, Tim McMahon said the other day on a podcast, he's like, man, it looks like the Jason Kidd's voice just wasn't getting through to him, in one or two of the, those Hornets games and stuff. So, for me, that's where I instantly go, whether that's fair or not, but that's where I go.
Twitter isn't the coach.
I agree with you that I think that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I agree with you because when I asked Jason Kidd about motivating players, he said the only thing that he has a short leash, a short amount of things that he can use to motivate players, and it's minutes and field goals. That was it to me. When I looked at that and go, okay, that's my reason. Like I look at that and say, if that's what you think, now.
I don't always tell you guys the truth.
That's true. Like he probably has other things that he can do and didn't want to go in to explain them maybe. But if that's your answer to how do you motivate players and how do you get players to get up for a game or not and say, I just have minutes and field goal attempts. That's it. Like that's the only thing. You can't Ted Lasso it and go in and like motivate guys in a different way or just like know what makes a guy tick or that's the only thing. It's just this blanket minutes and shots. Then man, like that's why they don't get up for some of these games. That's why they go into games and are like, well, Jason Kidd's like, well, they just didn't motivate themselves. They didn't look interested in this game. Well, coach them up, right? Like at this point. So yeah, that, and I'll tack on another one. I think Luka also, I think the Mavericks do well when they're loose. And so we see these warm-ups from the Mavericks where they're playing around and they're taking deep shots and they're, Luka's hitting the ball with his shoulder and they're doing the header thing. And like, they're doing like Maxey and Dwight are doing their like back and forth hitting each other kind of thing in warm-ups. And like, it's good to get loose before a game. If that's what you need to get, before a game, but then you take that into the game and then it's like you're messing around in the game, bad turnovers. You're not taking it seriously on defense. You get beat back door. You see that lackadaisical attitude transition into the games, I think. And I think you got to put that on the team leader who is Luka right now. And then my thing this whole season has been the fundamental flaw that the Mavericks have is they don't have a leader on the court. And so there's not that person to get everybody together. And I think it was Brunson and Dorian last year, and this year they haven't found it.
Welcome Draymond Green this offseason.
Hey, tomorrow we'll talk about that. Bill Simmons speculated about Draymond Green coming to the Mavericks. And tomorrow we'll talk about that potential idea. And then he also said LeBron James potentially. I I don't know how I feel
Let's talk about Draymond.
I don't know about that one, but we'll talk about Draymond because that one seems a little bit more realistic. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Guys, go check out Locked On NBA Game to Game. You'll hear from me. You hear from a bunch of other hosts across the network breaking down and reacting to every NBA game. Check it out on the Locked On NBA feed, wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom!